Nerdiest Prime.
Hi, and welcome to Nerdiest Prime. We are reviewing every episode of Star Trek Lower Decks, and this week Jenny Johnson is away, but we have Carsten Knox, who is a journalist and a movie reviewer. Welcome, Carsten. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Lucas, and all of you guys.
And we are on episode 9, The Inner Fight. This is a great episode, according to me, but let's hear from everybody else. Let's start with Carsten.
I mean, I liked the episode well enough. I'm not sure that I really care about Mariner's death wish. You know, I feel like when this show really tries to get serious is when it tries to stretch. I find it it's not what I tune into Lower Decks for. So I was a bit mixed on that element of the plot. But otherwise, you know, it had enough laughs. I mean, you know, I generally the general narrative of the bunch of different alien species getting stuck on a planet. I appreciated that, and things like Klingons do not hug. I thought that made it kind of worthwhile.
Yeah, I like the episode. I mean, I think I've always been a fan of um, shows that kind of mix humor and seriousness, and I think the Lower Decks kind of does it well. I think they found that balance where it doesn't feel like it's shoehorned in. It flows with the natural through line of the story, and I think I felt that here. Definitely, there are times that I would agree with Karsten where it just does not fit, but this time it felt like it was okay. Like it felt like I really wanted closure on the Mariner story, and I got it. And we'll talk about how they did it in the episode, which I thought was really cool. And finally, we're getting some real answers about the larger season-long story arc, which I'm super happy about. I'm not necessarily happy about what they're doing with it, but I'm glad those answers are kind of, things are starting to be answered, which I'm okay. I'll settle for it. It's not V'ger, which I'm disappointed about.
Or the parasites.
Yeah, or the parasites. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I really like this one too. It does seem like this season has focused a lot on Mariner, who is not my favorite character on the show. It seems like her, like you say, her survivor's guilt, death wish, insubordination story is kind of like become the main character focus this season. It feels like the other ones are getting their own like episodes or so, but it seems like they're really focusing heavily on Mariner. I'm on Team Boimler. I always like watching Boimler do Boimler stuff. Uh, but it was a good Star Trek story. Like having all the different Star Trek primary races, or whatever you want to call the species that been featured throughout the franchise history, having them all have to now kind of be united on this planet to survive or escape or whatever they got to do. Um, it's like basic Star Trek. It's like a mini federation that she's trying, like Mariner has to like now establish. So, there's very core Star Trek there, and yeah, it was good to get some answers. I said never in a billion years would I have thought that it was going to play out the way it has, but we'll see how that goes next week.
Well, I am very surprised that I am the lone gunman tonight because I love this episode. I'm gonna, oh, it's so good. I was so excited. It was like everything I wanted. I was like from the beginning. I was like, you know what's been bothering me is they don't take the serious stuff seriously, and then just have some sort of glib explanation of like, well, we were always friends all along, or whatever. And this is like you're getting some real meat and potatoes with the serious stuff. You get some. It's the perfect, you know, Venn diagram cross section of lore, humor, and heart. So I'm on board.
Mm.
Well,
So
I think you might be misunderstanding because I did like it. I feel like you're thinking
I
that we
didn't, I
all
didn't,
hated
I
it
didn't
at the
sense
same time.
enthusiasm from you guys
Well,
generally.
no,
I,
it's
I'm
one of
pretty
those
sure I
things
said I
too where
liked
it's
it
like,
too.
where it's like a part one, so it's hard to really judge it completely without the whole picture. But
I don't know, but I love
that's
it. I
always my
adore
problem
it.
with a multi episode arc.
I love it. That's how much I love it.
Mm.
Learn it.
Okay, so let's. What do we think about the plot? So I guess there's two plots. There is basically bringing Mariner on the super boring mission, so she like stays out of harm's way, and then there's the basically the Cerritos goes on a mission to find out this information on basically like the Star Wars. They go to the Star Wars universe. I was like, is
Yes.
that Tatooine? Is that Mos Eisley? Is that supposed to be Boba Fett? Is that the cantina? Like, what's going on here? And I think you maybe had an interesting theory about that, Alan. But okay, so let's talk about the plot. What do we think about the plot? And Carson.
It's funny that you say, it felt like the Star Wars universe. I think one of the things that I have been grousing about with more recent Star Trek shows, especially Discovery, let me say, is that it's too much like Star Wars. Like I feel like Star Trek writers should have in the writing room, they should have a sign that says Star Trek is not Star Wars, and we do not watch Trek for the kind of space opera that Star Wars delivers. Thus endeth my rant. But yeah, I mean, I thought the plot was fine. I did feel a little bit, and this is something I've mentioned before on this, on our little gathering here, that I feel like my memory for Trek. I mean, I've watched Trek my whole life, but honestly, has Locarno showed up before in something else and I'm not aware of? Okay, I can see
Yes.
about
Okay.
to explode, and I figured he probably did, and I just didn't remember.
Should we talk about this now? We should talk about this later. I'm just so excited.
Let's talk. We better talk about it now because it sets up everything else.
Yeah, for you have an
Okay.
aneurysm.
Okay. I feel like we should go to our resident Trexpert, Alan, to tell us who Nick Locarno is.
Nick Locarno was a classmate of Wesley Crusher in Starfleet Academy, and the fifth season episode of Next Generation, The Fifth Duty, he was the ringleader in a conspiracy to cover up the death of a fellow cadet during a non-sanctioned shuttle stunt.
The aerial maneuver. Yes, I remember.
Yes,
There
that got
were
the one guy
Hmm.
killed.
Yes, I remember. Okay, thank you for the
So
reference. Now it's starting to
there
come
you
back.
go.
Were you reading that off of Wikipedia? Because it was like perfect.
No, I just this is my brain. This is what my brain is
This is
filled
like
with.
brain
I
is like
know.
the week. He's
Use
like memorized
use
the whole thing, and
completely
it's
useless
just.
shit.
I was ready to like jump in because I love that episode, but there was no gaps. Alan
Yeah.
had it down to a T.
Well, the other way to answer the question is Nick Locarno is Robert Duncan McNeil, and he's really Tom Paris,
Oh,
but
right.
Right,
Okay.
but
but
he's not. But he's not the same character. Like he's the exact same character, but with a different name.
he is the same character.
Yeah, he is.
And
And
Tom Paris's father in Voyager has a picture on his desk that's him as Nick Locarno from Starfleet Academy, but it's supposed to be young Tom Paris.
but they have the exact same backstory and
Pretty much.
the same actor and the same everything. And
Except
Mhm.
Tom Paris is more redeemable than Nick Locarno was, though. Nick Locarno never really had any redemption at the end of First Duty,
I'm
No,
sure that
and then he
no,
just kind
he
of
did.
disappeared.
No. I disagree with that. He redeemed himself because he took the blame. Right. He sacrificed himself for the rest of his team,
I
and
guess,
thus
yeah, I suppose
Wesley
so.
and Wesley learned what the meaning of team actually was through his actions.
I guess you're right.
So he was
I think
totally. So that's why it never made sense for me to me why they just didn't use the same character for Voyager.
Well, I think that was a rights thing, wasn't it?
yes, that was my feeling
Yeah.
as well. That if they had used the name Nick Locarno, they would have had to pay the writer who made up that character for every episode of Voyager, and they're just cheap. They don't.
Uh,
They're so cheap that they don't pay extras to talk because then they would have to pay more. They just have them walk in on and 10 forward and mouth words, and then pay somebody else to do like a voiceover. and then they don't have to pay them all these people royalties. It's like that's how cheap they
Really? I
are.
didn't know that. I mean, how much is a writer going to make off of these shows, right? Like $1 every time? Like it
I
can't
don't
be
know.
that much.
Well, I'm sure it's $1 too much.
Hmm,
That's for sure.
fair enough.
Right. Okay. So now we know who Nick Locarno is. You may
Yes.
continue, Carson.
So thank you so much, everyone, for reminding me. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was a bit mixed on this episode generally. I felt like the arc storyline, which I haven't been that interested in, is starting to manifest, but I'm not as engaged by it maybe as some of you guys. Like I said, I don't really care about Mariner's death wish, and but I did appreciate that as as Lucas said that the Cerritos visited Star Wars world, and I like that. I like that aspect of it, and I mean I'm curious to see where it goes, but I think I'm definitely I wasn't as super engaged as I was by say the Ferengi episode or Caves last week, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I mean, I think the storyline was less interesting to me than Mariner's character development. So I guess I'm coming at this from sort of the opposite end as Carson, because I really enjoyed that, right? I really wanted, because I didn't get it, right? Like I sort of understood what was happening with Mariner, and I wanted that to be resolved, and they did it in a way that was classic kind of lower decks, right? She's pushing the envelope, she's going a little bit too far, she runs into a Klingon, and then they kind of do some unique things with that. That I think is my favorite scene with the Klingon and Mariner in the cave, running away from the glass, the rain of daggers, which I thought was amazing, and and talking that through, and Mariner sort of through that conversation, she just wants to fight, but talking with the Klingon, she realizes all these things about her, some great reveals about Sito, which came out of left field. I wasn't expecting that at all. But it makes sense because that's from an episode called Lower Deck. So they're you know they make that connection. You're like, oh yeah, of course that's going to happen. Um,
But also it connects to the Nick Locarno episode. So
that's
it's like
right.
a
Yeah,
double.
that's right. Yeah,
Wow, they
yeah,
really lined that thing up. I didn't make the lower decks connection. That's amazing.
yeah. I was like, oh my god, they're so smart. It's like they planned this. So I really enjoy that. I like clever writing. I like when these things sort of fit together, and that really happened. And then I keep forgetting the Klingon's name. Matak, Mahak, Mark? No, in the cave? No idea.
Alan? No.
Alan? I'm
Yeah,
looking at Alan because he always knows these things.
yeah, I'm not sure. It started
Oh,
with an M. Yeah, it's like Maha or something like
Jesus.
that.
Why do you always disappoint me? I don't know why. It's like every time.
I watched it like 4 days ago. You should have done the review that night if you wanted me to remember stuff fresh. I'm like,
Fair enough. Anyway, so he has this great line where they're talking about the what's going on, the glass rain, and he's like, "This planet has no honor." It's just like- it was amazing. But yeah, that scene kind of felt like the heart of the episode for me, and I really enjoyed that.
It makes me happy to see you happy, Namir.
I'm always
After
happy.
after all this time, you're not always happy, especially when we're talking about Picard or Discovery. But
Well, yeah, but
now you're happy. You're talking about good writing, and you're talking about good character development, and there's like a bounce in your step and a glint in your eye, and I love it.
well, there's a reason why I'm not happy when we talk about Picard and Discovery. I mean, we don't want to go into that, but I mean, you can fill in the gaps.
Okay, Alan.
what are we talking about?
I think we're talking about the plot. I'm pretty sure.
Now we're talking. So many tangents. It's hard to keep up. Yeah, it was good to finally get some answers. Let's say it was. I think Namir mentioned I think in our group chat that it doesn't seem like Locarno's going to be like the ringleader for this thing. It seems like it's too big a plot or scheme or whatever for one guy. Like there must be like either a disgruntled group of ex Starfleet. Like maybe we'll see, like they had in their list of people to hunt down. Like maybe we'll find Tom Riker or some of those other ones they had in the list, and realize that there's this plot against to destabilize the political spectrum of the Alpha Quadrant or something. Like that's why they're like messing around and attacking different powers in the quadrant. I don't know. It seems too much for one disgruntled ex or dishonored Starfleet Academy student to come up with all this advanced technology and conduct all these attacks. So that's the thing I like about this. Like a lot of animated shows you watch, and there's not really a whole lot of character progression. Like usually it's like Simpsons and stuff. It's usually nobody ages, nobody really moves on. Like they all just go about their lives, and this one, there's growth and progression, and we see these people, move along in their careers, and it's nice to see that kind of growth in a basically a silly cartoon.
Okay, I'm jumping in. I hope they bring Thomas Riker, because that's those are the two loose threads that keep me up at night. Is the Nick Locarno? Whatever happened to Nick Locarno? And then Thomas Riker, he's still on that Cardassian planet, and they're just ignoring him, and they've never gone to pick him up. There's been all this Star Trek. They could have gone in season 3 Picard and got Thomas Riker.
But apparently he's not in Cardassian prison now. If they're looking for him, or they would know that he was in a prison.
I guess so.
No, I think this is before Deep Space Nine.
No.
No. This is like
It has
post,
to be.
It's after Nemesis.
It's after Nemesis.
Don't you read
Yeah.
anything?
No, it has to be because he's on Cardassian prison.
Okay,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
okay,
He must have escaped because now they're looking for him.
Okay, but do you remember at the end of the first season, Boimler went to the Titan and Riker was on the Titan? Well, Riker gets promoted at the end of Star Trek Nemesis to go onto the Titan, so it has to be after Star Trek Nemesis.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Someone wasn't paying attention.
All right, nerds.
Nerdiest Prime.
You were not the prime nerd.
Obviously not. I think we know who is.
So I think I liked the plot because, like, the two plots. I really liked the stuff down on the planet. We're 100% confirmed now that all the people who got zapped by the ship, they all end up on the planet. That's all them. I was like, is that all them? So that means that the two plots, even though they're kind of an A-B plot, they're actually related because they're looking for Nick Locarno, basically, or trying to figure out that mystery. And they're down on this planet kind of playing Hunger Games. And I'm trying to figure out what is the connection between those two things, and I guess we're going to find out next week. But the stuff on the planet with Mariner and the Klingon, it was amazing. It was like what I was waiting for all season. And I love that Klingon. I wanted to hug him so much. I think his name is Ma'a.
Well, he's actually, I guess, the Klingon who was from the episode, was that just last season or 2 seasons ago, where they had like Talin's, they had like the Vulcan lower decks, the Klingon lower decks, and
right,
it's like that. And he was on the Klingon lower decks in the episode, so he's actually a return character. I didn't realize that till I read afterwards. But
wouldn't everybody on the planet all be repeat characters, because each episode
no, but he was specifically a character from that Klingon lower decks episode from like 2 seasons ago.
Oh, okay, well, not the one from earlier this season where they would start each episode with like a group of lower deckers.
He might have been on that ship, but I didn't realize that character was already established from the last the one that introduced Talin.
Yeah, I mean, the stuff that was like on Tatooine was like, take it or leave it. It was kind of funny, this whole thing where they were like on the gangster planet. So of course they were just like, oh no, there's a 2-hour wait, but anybody else can just walk in.
Oh, can I just say how much I love that scene where she shook the, the Dalek puppet alien. I am not a puppet. And its arms and legs are flailing.
This thing has internal organs.
That was great. Oh man.
So that's solved a mystery. Now we know that the Balok puppet was actually based on a real alien, not just wasn't just a puppet. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that whole stuff was great, but it's sort of plotty kind of stuff, which is fine. Like there's so much stuff, not just on Star Trek, but in movies in general, about people trying to find out information and take me to your leader and let's make a deal and torture scenes and everything. That's always like I'm trying to get some information. So there's a lot of that. It's and they were able to keep it fresh, but it was really the stuff on the planet, like what Alan said earlier, like you know, being Star Trek and working together and trying to find the common enemy and you know, finding common ground and all that kind of stuff. I love that, and especially the evolution of Mariner's character because I think what was bothering me about her whole arc is that I didn't understand why she was pissed off. She was just like the pissed off character, and now I understand why she's a pissed off character, and now it makes sense, and now I can it doesn't seem like just she's pissed off for just because that's what it's written in the as her character in the Bible. There's an actual reason, and it's Sito, and it goes back to the Lower Decks episode. It was like amazing. And did you guys notice that there are on the planet they were on were like Vasquez rocks, the little Vasquez rocks on there? So they were like it was like the Star Wars planet versus the Star Trek planet.
Mm, I didn't notice that.
No,
I did
Namir
not
did
notice
not
that.
notice that.
I may have noticed it,
Oh,
but it might have slipped by.
I want to. I'm curious, Alan, because you had mentioned this in a text earlier about your Star Wars theory. Because I want us all to like comment on the Star Wars theory.
I was, well, I was watching this episode, and like I said, I got the Star Wars vibes. They say they go to Tatooine. There's the Mos Eisley, the bar. There's bounty hunters, the desert, and then they went to that. Is that the planet that they're stuck on? The one that had the little bunker with the satellite dish?
Mm-hmm.
And
Hmm.
so
Oh, they're
that
like
whole
on Endor.
yeah, it was like they were on Endor with the bunk the shield generating station,
Yeah, I
and I was
recognized that
like,
too. I
well,
was like,
so
that's a
there's
very
so much Star Wars in this, and that was my bonkers theory in my head when I was watching it. I'm like, are they gonna make Star Wars like canon in Star Trek? That's an alternate universe. That Star Wars is like invading Star Trek reality. Because I wouldn't put it past them. I was like, we've seen a musical episode now, and we've had an animation and live action crossover. So I wasn't going to put it past the fact that they might just make Star Wars a thing in an alternate dimension that was like invading ours. I'm
I feel
like,
like
why?
I
And
feel
then
like
they,
they
and
just
then
did already.
they talked to that guy. That guy who felt like he was very imperial, the one that they were
Oh
trying.
yeah,
Yeah, I was like, this
yeah.
guy
Like
feels like. I was like, is Star Wars like coming into Star Trek universe? Are they setting up? Is
so
the
I
Empire coming to invade the Federation?
so
And
I
I was
watched
like,
it. I watched it again today, and at first I was like, yeah, maybe the connection. And then after you said it, I watched it again. I was like, oh yeah, this is entirely Star Wars, right from the beginning, where they first get to the planet and they talk to the guys on the station. They've got the English accent. They've got the little caps with the little tiny brims. The proper uniforms. It was like this is exactly Star Wars. Even when they landed, I was like, am I watching, like Ahsoka or Obi-Wan or something?
well, that's what I said. I was like,
It was totally on purpose for sure.
and we've seen so many mashups on YouTube of like Star Wars and Star Trek fighting each other. I'm like, are they gonna make this canon finally? That's that Star Wars is facing off against Star Trek.
I don't know.
But
I don't know. It's
they didn't go there. But I was like, I definitely wouldn't put it past them. They
mm.
do so many off the wall things here lately. So
I want to
sure,
say,
why
by the
not?
way, that
But
I really appreciate your theory, and I think you're right on the money. And before, when I said that Star Trek is the Star Wars, I still mean that, but if they're going to satirize it or bringing it in a self-aware, ironic way, I am 100% down with that. I think that's hilarious, and I mean, if that's what they're doing, then A plus.
Yeah, they somehow managed to do Star Wars in a Star Trek way, which is crazy to me, right? Like they like a parasite, they just grabbed it, latched onto Star Wars, and made it their own because it didn't feel like it felt out of place, you know? Like you're like, oh, this is very Star Wars, but it feels like it fits in the universe that they've created. This is really really clever. I can't see it working the other way.
Oh, I know what's gonna happen. The person behind Nick Locarno is gonna be Darth Vader, of course. Oh, Darth. Maybe it's gonna be Darth Helmet.
Oh, Palpatine.
Palpatine. Somehow he returns.
And then LBQ comes out of the end. The Q is like, I did it. I just crossed the universes
Oh
to
man.
see if you guys were still a child race. Well, no, savage child race.
Oh man, they could go so many crazy places with this if they wanted to.
Okay. So I'm gonna say something, and I want everybody's reaction. Teach me how to dance, Beverly Crusher.
Teach me how to tap dance, Beverly Crusher.
I was
Barbara
like,
has the
it,
dorkiest dreams.
but I was wondering if it was like, it
Like a
was like,
reference to another episode? I was wondering the same thing.
no, I was wondering if it was like a sexy dream or not. That's what I was wondering.
Oh,
Well, I mean,
you
she
mean
is the
like
dancing
teach me how to
doctor.
horizontally dance?
I think he
I
meant
thought it was
tap
like
dance, probably.
metaphorically.
Well, I assume since it's Born, he probably is talking about tap dancing, like how she showed Data how to tap dance.
Right. Yeah.
Hmm.
Because I
She is
can't
the
imagine
dancing
him.
doctor.
Yes, I can't imagine him have like I would imagine his dreams are totally like dorky and lame.
It was just the way he
He,
said
he
it. It sounded more like more than just dancing.
no, it totally sounded like he
Hmm.
wanted to learn how to dance. I just,
Yeah.
He has a lot of healthy male fantasies, I guess.
Yeah. But you know, that's what I love about the show. They're obviously fans of Star Trek, right? And it comes across in every episode. You know, like the first episode, I'm watching the Lower Decks again with the kids, and we just watched the first episode yesterday, and it's amazing how many references there are to TNG and the original series. Like they're fans just like we are, which I think is the secret sauce for the show. Like it's funny and there's all sorts of other stuff, but they don't forget about everything else, right? It's part of the same universe. It's part of the same galaxy. And you know, I'm not going to harp on Discovery and Picard, although I'm going to right now. They're not that, right? That's not what that is. And that's the disconnect for me, right? They don't treat themselves as if they're part of that universe. They treat themselves as if they're part of the Abrams universe. And I'm like, that doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I think you might be right
Indeed.
there. Though I think that maybe in the third season of Picard, I felt like they reached they reached across the aisle, so to speak, to reunite. I mean, just because the cast was all there. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think maybe that's my trouble with Discovery as well, is that there'll be one episode that really feels like the Trek that I know and love, and then there'll be others that are, I'm just like, what is this I'm watching? This doesn't feel like Trek at all. So anyway,
It's definitely a weird show. That's all I'll say. And I just forgot to mention that there's also like a Jurassic Park reference at the beginning of the episode because there are those velociraptors that are like spitting
oh
acid.
yes, yes.
Yeah, and
I'm in an
Yeah.
academic romance with the tremble lizards.
it was totally Jurassic Park. It was like the fences are down, huh?
Maybe. I think that feels like a bit of a reach to me.
Well, to you, but not to me.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, I love that whole scene, and I was just thinking, it's Velociraptors. They just, yeah, and then it's just this was the episode they kept on giving. Let's talk about what our theories are because we've been kind of talking about maybe that this is V'ger's love child that's coming back to like digitize everybody. I guess it still could be. because we if Nick Locarno is not the final bad guy, but I actually think he is. I don't necessarily think that there's all these other people behind him. I think he's going to be the bad guy, and then the next episode we're going to find out basically what his deal is, why he's where he is, basically.
Well, I think there has to be something else because I don't think he's going to be the one that's revealed to have designed the ship, right? Like that ship seems like it's completely alien, right? Like it seems like I wouldn't be surprised if he was partnering with another species or they had given it to him to kind of enact some sort of mission or something. I don't see him building that.
Obviously he got it from Boba Fett.
Yeah, maybe. And I don't really get why he was destroying the ships in the first place, right? Because I guess the one theory was that the ships were kind of being digitized and transported, but you see debris everywhere.
And so the people were being digitized and transported, and I don't understand why they're all down on that planet.
Yeah,
And they're doing the Hunger Games. What does that to do with anything?
Yeah, I don't know. So I'm a little bit concerned because I feel like they may not be able to wrap this up in a way that is going to be satisfying, because there's too many unanswered questions and too many kind of pieces of the plot that are still floating around. But I have confidence. I have faith that they're going to. We just might not like the direction that they go in. Frankly, if it's not V'ger or parasites, I'm not going to be happy.
As long as it's not the Borg, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Carsten, how about you? Do you have some theories about next week?
No, I'm afraid not. I guess because I'm not that engaged in the overall arc, I'm not. I'm just happy to wait to see what happens. I think having watched a lot of the episodes of this season in the last few days, I just want to say, and this may be my one chance to speak to the hardcore here, both you gentlemen and whoever happens to be watching, but I'm kind of decided that Sam Rutherford is the new Harry Kim. I find him really dull, and he's just another character that I feel like nerdy is not enough to make me care about him. However, the arrival of a new Vulcan is making it all better. And I feel like the new Vulcan is stepping up and maybe taking a little bit of what of the time. I think Sam is interesting in the way that he connects with Tendi because they've got all this like sublimated romance going on. I think that's when he's interesting, but on his own, I don't find him interesting. And so yeah, I'm glad to see that T'Lyn is now becoming more of a prominent character. That's all I'm gonna say on that.
Good controversial statements. Stirring the pot a little bit.
Maybe a little bit spicy.
What are your theories, Alan?
My theories? Well, I said Star Wars is breaking through from the other side. The Empire is coming to invade the Federation.
Wait, is that a Doors song? I feel like that's a Doors song.
A little bit. I think it's going to be part of it, like a bigger plot, like Locarno. Like I said, it could be a group of kind of Maquis-esque, disgruntled ex-Starfleet people who aren't happy with the Federation and how they operate, or Starfleet, and, just trying to destabilize things. So, there could be some sort of plot like that going on. Like, I that's what I'm kind of wondering if we're going to bring back, if they're going to bring a bunch of, like say, Tom Riker or, any number of crooked admirals from the several decades of Star Trek.
Admiral Kennelly.
Yeah, anybody who's been disgraced, creating their own little, secret group to.
Oh yeah, it'll be the
revenge.
bad admiral from Ensign Rowe, and like the bad admiral from the Pegasus, and then like the bad admiral from the Offspring.
I mean,
there's just so many.
So many disgraced Starfleet officers out there.
And
so
then Nechayev will be there as like the undercover bad admiral, but really she'll like be there to save the day. I feel your blinks, Namir. I feel your blinks.
I'm like, let's move on. How long is this gonna last?
I liked Alan's theory.
Who knows, right? Because I wasn't expecting it to be Locarno, right? Now that Locarno's in the picture, it could be anything. You
Yeah, he was not on
know,
my bingo card.
no, I mean, I wouldn't be like Archer could appear in the next episode. We have no idea what's going to happen, right? Like it's totally random, and it could just be Locarno. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do. Um,
Michael
so
Burnham.
Well,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, the two plots are tied in together with Nick Locarno, and Mariner has something very personal to deal with Nick because it's all related to Cedo and all that stuff. So
yeah,
there's enough there, enough juicy stuff there for them to
yeah.
chomp on.
And it's kind of obscure, right? Like he's an obscure character, right? Like not like most of the audience, I don't know most, but a lot of the audience isn't going to know who he is. So the big reveal is going to be like, oh, it's just some guy, oh,
I
it's
think a
Tom
lot of
Paris,
people watching this are Star Trek fans, probably.
Yeah, I know, but there's also the other half
There's
that
no,
aren't, right? That are just watching it
I don't
because
know
it's
if there's a
it's a
whole
good
lot of
show.
people who are fresh
Well,
into
well,
Trek.
50% of the people here didn't know who Nick Locarno was, so like I agree with Namir.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised too if Cedo shows up, because Ceto's fate was kind of vague. Like there was no body, like they just assumed she died.
Oh, okay, yeah, let's go with that theory. Let's just say it's Sita and see what
It could
happens.
be
Maybe
Cedo.
maybe
Cedo might come
maybe
out of
we're
the
right.
woodwork.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's talk about our final thoughts and our ratings for this episode out of 10. And let's start with Kristen.
Okay, well, I mean, I'd probably give this. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10. If Caves and the Ferengi episodes were like 8 or 9, and the Badgley episode was a 2, that's my least favorite episode of the season. Yeah, I would give this a 6.
I'm just happy Carson is on because he's much tougher than I am.
Yeah,
I'm
Jenny was
usually
gonna
the
be a 10.
yeah, yeah, it's true. I really liked the episode. I thought it was well done. I enjoyed the Beckett storyline. I thought it was a great insight into her character. And, great throwbacks that weren't just kind of fan pandering, but seemed to actually make sense. Within the arc of the story and her character with Cito and Locarno. Um, so everything feels like it's coming together with this episode, which is nice. So, but I think uh, I still wanted a little bit more. I think I wanted a little bit of something more epic with a larger storyline. I wanted a V'ger or a Parasite or something like that. Locarno doesn't quite do it with me. So I'm going to give it an 8.
Well, I think with something like this too, like they always have to make it personal. So I don't think you're gonna get a big bad just because something was cool, like from a movie from 40 years ago. You know, it's like Picard season 3 where we thought all these crazy theories and it ended up being the Borg because that makes it personal for Picard. So it has to make it personal for Mariner. It can't just be V'ger, and like she has no history of V'ger.
I know,
So,
but yet the Borg was like the worst choice.
well, I mean, but it was logical because
Thank
it
you.
was overdone. But
I thought it was great.
um,
Yay, Borg.
but honestly, I think I might be onto something with my disgruntled Starfleet officer, because I think Mariner is the perfect recruit if there's a group of disgruntled Starfleet officers, because she is resistant to the organization and how it operates, and she doesn't want to like I think like even Locarno is aware probably that she's has a reputation to be want to be an outsider and buck the Starfleet rule book. So I think there could be a group here that will try to recruit her because of her you know her performance in Starfleet. So I'll be interested to see because I think that would probably play into again making the story a personal thing for Mariner. So, but yeah, it was good. It was really good, and I liked it for aforementioned reasons. So I would give this an 8 out of 10.
So do you think that they're trying to recruit everybody, like Thomas Riker and Seven of Nine and Mariner?
I
Like,
think
was that?
there could be, yeah, they could, it could be like a Section 31 type thing where they're just trying to make an
Hmm.
underground organization to. A lot of people don't like the Federation, so including some of its own citizens. So
Like J.J. Abrams?
I give it a 10 out of 10 because I'm so stoked. Number one, they didn't do the stupid Strange New World thing and give me a cliffhanger at the end of the season when I don't know when they're going to do another season. It's going to be years. They do the cliffhanger, in between the two last episodes. Number two, Nick Locarno's in this. I've been like, as I said, it's been keeping me up nights for the last 25 years, and now I know where he is. Thank you very much, Lower Decks. There's this there's a progression with Mariner and her arc, and it was so heart wrenching and beautiful. I almost cried. I would just call it cry. There was no actual tears, but I felt like I was gonna. So that gives
Hmm.
it that automatically makes it a 10. And I loved what was going on. I loved that Klingon. And last but not least, Star Wars. Star Wars inside of Star Trek. Never seen it before, and now we have it. So 10 out of 10. I'm very excited. And let's see what happens next week.
I don't know. I don't know.
But
It's hard to give it a 10 out of 10 when you don't know if they're going to shit the bed or not.
yeah, exactly. I think
I
they
listen.
could still end it on a cliffhanger. We still have one more episode. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't understand that you guys are like always like rating my rating. It's my rating. I can rate it whatever I want. You
You,
guys don't have a comment on my
I know,
rating.
but you always rate wrong. I mean, if you rated correctly, we wouldn't make fun of you.
I have no problem. I don't care what happens in the second part. I thought this was a complete amazing episode. Even if there wasn't a second part, I love this episode. It was everything that I've wanted. I can tell Carsten totally disagrees with me. He's like, Lucas, I thought we were friends, Lucas. I don't know what happened.
It's like, I don't think we can be friends anymore after this.
I will not come on this show again.
Yeah.
No. I mean, Lucas and I are like this with James Bond movies. He loves View to a Kill, and I'm just like, Lucas, what are you thinking? Not to cross the streams or anything, but
Well, I like the good movies. What do you want? It's not my help. It's not my fault. Karsten, did you want to give a little shout out to your social media or whatever you're doing out in the world?
I mean, sure. If folks are interested, they can check out. I have a film review blog called Flaw in the Iris. You can find it at halifaxbloggers.ca. If you are in the Halifax area, please visit Carbon Arc Cinema, where I'm working, bringing international films and documentaries to a big screen here in town. Yeah, that's stuff. That's stuff I'm happy to mention. Thank you.
Yeah, Alan and I could have stuff that we want to plug. How come you never ask us?
Go ahead, Namir. What would you like to plug?
Just wearing